Hello YouTube. So I want to make this video as kind of an explanation, a bigger version, more detailed version of a TikTok theory that I had, and it had to do with, of course, 1107 of One Piece, and it's just one very small thing, and we only see it. It is only, I think, one panel, unlike a lot of my other ones where I say it's one panel, but there's more to it. There's 2 or 3 panels technically. I guess if you want to be full on this, in this chapter it's one panel, but in other chapter it is like a couple of panels in another chapter. But it has to do with Vegapunk, and unfortunately the fact that he seemingly is about to die, as we saw in, I believe it was 1105 or 1106, when he reveals that he has given Bonnie ultimate control over the pacifistas, so that she never has to worry about being killed by Kuma, and Kuma never has to worry that that somebody that looked like him is the reason why Bonnie is dead. So, finding this out, Saint Saturn pierces through Vegapunk's body, and as we find out in 1107, he basically says, I've been a doctor for long enough to know that if I move, I'll die. So seemingly, this is it for Vegapunk. Vegapunk is going to die. At least his body is. The old man Vegapunk is going to die. The real question is does that actually mean Vegapunk is going to die? Because, well, yes, it is his main body. We also have to remember that his main body doesn't have his brain. And typically when somebody dies, you fully declare them dead once they're brain dead. So if somebody, is living, and they're on like dialysis, or they're on a machine, and, they're in a coma or something, they're still alive, despite the fact that their body really isn't doing much, except for like the bare minimum. His brain is still alive. So if the main Vegapunk body dies, and you still have the brain alive, as well as at least one other of his, I don't want to say clones, but his, the extra Vegapunk bodies, Atlas and Einstein, Pythagorean, and all of them, a couple, they are still alive. So if the main Vegapunk body dies, what's going to happen to them? Is this going to be an unfortunate thing when we see next chapter as, he dies and we slowly see each of the Vegapunks like slowly deteriorate, where it's like, we see Atlas, I believe is the small one who is with Usopp and Nami up top. Is he going to like short circuit and be like, and then all of a sudden he doesn't work anymore? And then same with the one, the Stella that's with Brooke on that ship. Like what's going to happen to all these things? Or is it just going to be that, he is going to hopefully try and like trick, the Saint Saturn, being like, hey, look, the Marines, you guys just killed me, you killed Vegapunk, and they're, hopefully like being like, okay, because you killed the main body, the rest of the bodies can live, because the brain is detached, because there are bodies that the brain can still go to. Is Vegapunk going to now, in a sense, claim one of these bodies? Or is it like a Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball, where he knew, his age and his intelligence, that at some point he would die, or that, his body was becoming too frail? Did he create a backup body? I mean, he's, we've seen that he creates cyborgs, and we've seen just in general, miscellaneous animes, that it's not too out of the question to, to be able to put yourself into another body, or to, as he's already done, take your brain out of your body and put it somewhere else. So very easily, with just his body dying, if his brain is still alive, and it, because the other scientists are still alive, does that mean that Vegapunk can just make a new body and put it in, and now all of a sudden we have Vegapunk again? Like, in a sense, Vegapunk can be immortal, in the sense that as long as his brain never dies and he has an extra body left over. I think there's a thing like in Warhammer like this. There's like I think it's like the necrotics or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I don't know too much about it, but it could, something like that, where, there's still always a body around for the quote-unquote soul to move into. As long as his brain is alive, his bodies mean nothing. It's his brain that's Vegapunk. So I think in, the next couple of chapters, we'll probably see, the main Vegapunk body die, but I don't think that actually means that we're losing Vegapunk. Even though the island is going to be destroyed, seemingly because of the, with the giants being on there, and with the Buster Call and all that going on, it does seem like Egghead is going to be destroyed. So now the question is how do you save Vegapunk? How do you save his brain, their brain, the brain, the smart fruit? That's basically what you're saving at this point. how do we, moving on from all of that, what are we doing with that? What are we, we're seeing Egghead being attacked, and we're seeing, we always talk about Vegapunk as one person, but Vegapunk isn't a person at this point. Vegapunk more so is intelligence. Vegapunk is the brain. He was the brains behind the Marines. That's all we knew of Vegapunk, is he was a scientist who was working for the Marines, and he created technology. So this entire time, we were always being told that Vegapunk basically isn't a person. Vegapunk's body, I don't think matters. I don't know if it ever mattered. Because the second that he, ate the Smart fruit, I think it was at that moment that even he realized, because of how smart he had started becoming, he realized that his body didn't matter. So he's totally fine with sacrificing himself here. As long as one Vegapunk body lives and his brain is alive, I think we'll still have Vegapunk for the rest of One Piece. We just won't have Old Man Vegapunk. It might just be all 5 Vegapunks, and they're all well, we don't have a main body, so it's going to be a weird thing, but we'll still stick together. And maybe it could also, I'm gonna keep picking up more anime with this, but it could also be a thing with Black Clover with Julius Novachrono. Spoilers on that. But at one point, Novachrono dies, but because, if you can't tell by his, name, Chrono, he is a time magic, so he's a time wizard, so he was storing time, and it created, basically he died, but he was able to come back as a younger body because he had stored time enough. It was pretty cool. I recommend Black Clover. But yeah, it was a very interesting thing. So it's has he been storing intelligence somewhere, right? We have the main brain, so we know he's been storing intelligence. But as a result of storing intelligence, is this actually going to do something? Because his brain is so big, this is literally just coming up right now as I thought of it. Because his brain is so big and they needed to get off the island, they need to put it in a vessel that's large enough to move it, right? And then it makes me, because of bringing up Dragon Ball is what makes me think of this. In Dragon Ball, in the second movie, The World's Strongest, we meet Dr. Wheelo, one of the smartest characters in the universe, but his brain is so massive at this point that he's stuck instead of a giant robot. So what if that's what they do? Because Vegapunk's body is dead and they need to get his brain off the island, they put it in the Iron Giant. Because the Iron Giant is coming to life, they're about to combine the ultimate brawn of the Iron Giant, of this giant automaton made during the Void Century, presumably during a time on an island that is an island that has technology of the future. Not just island, technology, future of the current, but future of then and future of now. It was so far advanced that they made this giant iron robot. So what if Vegapunk had thought, well, if I can create my own power source, I may be able to put in this robot. So he, as a result, now knows, okay, this is the end game. Let's get the scenario. Let me put in this robot. At least I'll survive. But the robot now has power because of Luffy, because of Gear 5, because Joy Boy is giving it its power, because Nika is giving it its power. So boom, all of a sudden the robot is going to be online, and you can put Vegapunk's brain inside of it. So he gets to live on, and he'll just be a giant robot until they can make a proper cyborg body that's, of normal size and not giant robot size. But that's kind of what I'm thinking with, the 3 panels we've seen of Vegapunk dying and speculation on what's going to happen. I am very curious to see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be seen in the next 2 or 3 chapters. We'll probably see this. As Vegapunk dies, we'll have to, we'll have okay guys, the main body is dead. Go to Plan Alpha. Go to Plan B. Let's switch into this so that we can continue on without any real issue, because why wouldn't he have a contingency plan for his death? He knew that he was going to be against the Marines at some point doing what he does. He knew that he would die at some point considering his age, right? So he always had that thought in the back of his head. So of course he should have a contingency plan to continue living. Whether it's the the Stella bodies, the Vega bodies with Atlas and Einstein and Pythagorean and all them, or maybe it is the Iron Giant or another robot that they made. Perhaps where the brain already is a giant robot. We don't know. Hopefully we'll find out though, and once we do find out, I'll let you all know. So if you want to know, pretty quickly, then stay tuned either here on YouTube or on TikTok, because I try to get things out the day of. If not, then, night of, day of, the next day, I try to get out as quick as I can, as much as I can. So stay tuned for all of that. It'll be coming out slowly but surely, but like, comment, subscribe, dislike, do whatever you need to do, but stick around because I'm sticking around. Until then, bye guys.